inherited indexes are still available, even they are not listed. Inherited indexes means previously, if we want to add any role to the existing role, any role to the new role, any existing role to the new role, then at that time, whatever the indexes are present in the existing role, all the capabilities will be coming in the new role if you are adding that existing role to a new role.
Okay.
Specifically, he is talking about indexes. So if the indexes are present in the older role, then definitely that indexes can also be searched when we are trying to create a new role. So everything will be inherited. And they cannot search if the indexes are not available. The default is all internal indexes, but we'll remove this all non-internal indexes. Now here if you see authentication options.
The screen is not changing.
You need.
Okay. Okay, now it's changing. Okay.
Okay. Okay then. If you click on access controls, it is showing up with the authentication method also. Now you see in the authentication method, external authentication method. If you see this, we are having LDAP and SAML. And if you are creating a user or if you are creating some group in the Splunk itself, then it will be showing up with Splunk, authentication method as Splunk. If the group is created outside the Splunk and you are trying to create a role for the outside the group, then it will be showing up with LDAP or SAML. And we are also having scripted SSO. You'll come to know this. He'll be explaining one by one. Splunk native authentication. So in the Splunk native authentication, you can create a user account directly in Splunk. A user account can be created in Splunk directly. For example, the default admin user, the default admin. Admin can be created. I think I should take. Okay. Let me see. Yeah. Here in this picture, you can see Splunk native users can be edited or deleted. 1 minute. Sound they are actually disturbing. Sorry.
No problem.
Actually, my sister came to my home for 2 days, so her sons are there. That is the reason we are getting these sounds from 2 days.
I don't mind it at all. The kids' background is the best music.
Then that's nice.
Yes,
If you see here, yeah, okay. If you see here, we are having admin in the second line. This picture shows admin in second line. So what he is telling is like, this is created by us. Admin role is created by users. Sorry, admin role is created by a Splunk, I can say. So we are clicking on settings, access controls. We are creating some role called admin. We are giving all the capabilities, and you are also creating a username with admin and password. the default password for Splunk. But when you are creating such username as admin, you are creating the username in Splunk itself. So it is showing authentication system as Splunk.
Okay.
But if you see other users, or if the group where the users are added, as I told, we need to get some approvals from some managers for creating LDAP groups. At that time, it will show authentication method as LDAP. Two types. If you're creating something in Splunk, it will show Splunk as authentication method. And if you are creating something outside the Splunk and externally you are creating and you are adding that external group into Splunk, then the users present in the specific group will be showing up with LDAP authentication system. And LDAP, Splunk, and SAML, as I said, will mostly not use this SAML, but we'll also know what is SAML. Now you'll understand this clearly if I explain this slide. Passwords are always stored in etc password folder, PASSWD. This is also one directory in Splunk where all the passwords are stored in the etc directory.
Like what type of password? User's password?
Not users passwords. It is a Splunk password. For example, we can log in Splunk with our own credentials. We are doing something, but when you are trying to reboot a server, or there will be for example, reboot only will take. We are rebooting the server. For rebooting the server, it will be asking for user ID and password. Then at that time, you can give a common admin and the password, common admin and password, which will be shared with everyone, which will be knowing all the credential details with all the admin users in Splunk. That means instead of giving our own credentials, we are using a common common credentials which can be used by anyone in the team.
Okay.
So it will be always defined with username as admin and password as something common password, which will be shared with everyone in the group. But when coming to our credentials, we are also admins, but we are having our own identification. And also there are many things where we will need a common access. That means a common admin and password.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So there will be, as I said, you cannot little disturbed. You are having two mobiles.
No, one. Why? I'm doing the class in my laptop.
Actually, okay, okay. Yeah. So etc password, it will be having admin related password, not our passwords. and it will be also having the passwords related to any other application. Like for example, we are having some add-ons. So in the add-ons, we will need, sometimes it will be asking us to provide a password so that it will be taking the data from the third-party applications.
Okay.
Example is one example I can provide you is like Qualys. Qualys application is one of the application where you need to give username and password. If you are providing username and password, it will be logging into external application, and from there it will be taking the data and it will push the data into Qualys application, and then from Qualys application we are seeing everything in Splunk. There is a long process. The easy one is like we are accessing the third party application in order to get the data in Splunk. So at that time you have to provide a password, and we are also having some other applications where we will initially configure it with some password. When we are working on some applications, or not applications, when we are working on add-ons, you'll come to know on this. And all the passwords will be stored in. And one another thing, the passwords will be in encrypted form.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, you cannot see it directly what is the actual password. It will be in encrypted form. Even if you are removing that encrypted form and you are giving a proper password, and later if you save it, it will be again changed into encrypted form. Yeah. Use a blank password file to completely disable native authentication. But in all authentication scenarios, best practice is to keep a fail-safe account with a very strong password. It is actually not required to add any password or configuration file, but it is asking us to create a blank password file. But it is usually not required. We have never created a password file with blank. Just leave it. In the last point, he has given that you can have a mix of Splunk and LDAP or other users. Splunk native authentication always take precedence over others. Again here, if the same user, if there are same users, then they are having the different roles for the same users. One is created with Splunk native and another one with LDAP, and you are providing them two different roles. Then what is happening? It will be taking the precedence. First Splunk native will be taking the precedence, and then it will be followed up with other LDAP roles. And this is the thing initially I have explained. It is also showing up with time zone. If you see, time zone is also mentioned, but here it is showing none. If you want to modify it, you can add a time zone as well, but usually not required. And if you see the roles for the first one, let's suppose take the first one. First one is provided with LDAP authentication system, and full name and email address is provided. For the first one, he has given none as email address, but usually we'll see the email address for each and every user in Splunk, the real time. And time zone, if you want to select a time zone, you can give the to the specific user. And role they have added is security operations, security OPS. They have added a role. How to add it? Splunk native authentication, add users. See here, directly you have to give a required username and password. Password not required. You can give username directly, but set password. There are two things again. One thing is uh, you can give this access privilege to a group member in your organization. For example, your team is having some 4 to 5 users, and you are having access to add some username. You are having a access, like you can add the users in Splunk. Then what you can do is like you are adding some username and password. So the password and the username what you are creating will be unique, so that every member in your team can access that. Usually will not create any native authentication, because if you are creating a native authentication and you are giving a same username and password, and your team members are working on different applications, if by chance something has happened to Splunk, then it is difficult to find out which user has did some performance issues, or did something that went wrong in Splunk. It is difficult for us to find that issue. And who has created what also, you cannot find it, because everyone is handling with same username and password.
Yep.
And at that time, what you need to do, you need to check which system and which system IP address has did some issue in Splunk. It is very difficult. So that is the reason native Splunk native authentication add users will not use this. But it is better to know how we can add the users. Directly you'll go into access controls, you'll click on the users, and then you'll give the username and password and related roles to the specific users. And if there is any time zone or a default app, you can give this, but the time zone will be by default to EST, Eastern time. Always whatever the Splunk or whatever the time you are having, everything will be in EST only. Server integrity. So for the server, it works with multiple LDAP servers, including OpenLDAP and ActiveLDAP. And you can configure everything from Splunk UI itself. Here he is telling about LDAP, lightweight directory access protocol. The same thing, how the how the Splunk native access is provided. Splunk native access means we are having it and we can delete it. But when the people are coming, or when the groups are created through LDAP, we don't have any privileges to delete the specific group. You can stop access. You can stop access to a specific group, but you don't have any privilege to delete that group in Splunk. This is important. And working with multiple LDAP servers, including OpenLDAP and ActiveLDAP, mostly will be working with active LDAP in real time, where the users are coming up with already created groups. And you see here if you're having any doubts.
Okay.
Now here in detail,
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, here a picture of how LDAP actually works, and here is LDAP strategies. A lot of things about LDAP. These all not required actually, but I'll show what is happening. Okay, from Splunk web client is there, and Splunk is there, and then LDAP server. So first a client will be requesting access to log into Splunk. Now what is whether the requested client is present in that server or not. So it will go into LDAP server, and then it should get some acknowledgement from LDAP server that okay, this user is present in the group. You can access the login to Splunk. Then after receiving acknowledgement from LDAP server, now Splunk will grant access to web client. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
okay.
again,
Yeah, I can hear you. Now what will happen? Now Splunk has granted access to a specific user in Splunk. Now it should also check the group mapping to which role the user has assigned, so that now Splunk will check with LDAP server, and it will provide that specific role capabilities in Splunk. That means he can access only to the specific indexes. So whatever the roles are added, it will be showing up to the web client, so that he'll be accessing only to. ఏంది అసలు ఈ డిస్టర్బెన్స్ నాకు అర్థం కాదు.
okay.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
Okay.
So is this clear? You're requesting access to Splunk, and Splunk will check with LDAP server, and LDAP
Yes.
server
Yeah.
will be providing access.
Yeah.
So in this way, the web client will be getting access. Now, if you see the LDAP strategies, here he has shown how to configure something using Splunk. Now, click on this configure Splunk to use LDAP new. But most in the real time will not have access to create new. The new will be disabled by our organization, because we'll never create anything with LDAP, but we'll get the external groups. We'll get the groups created externally, and then that group will be added in Splunk. But here he has shown how to create a new, because he'll also show each and every steps going forward. You see, configure Splunk to use LDAP. Now, a strategy is a connection to one or more LDAP nodes. That means you can create by giving LDAP server and with the proper port number also. Name the strategy and fill out the form. If you click on the new, these are the LDAP strategy settings. If you see,